Hello. How we doing? Your tab to complete is broken? Yeah. For some reason, this place has baller ass internet. Um, the download is less than what we have at home, but it's symmetrical, so the upload is better than what we have at home. Damn, Flynn doing that graveyard shift. Well, I'm at a hotel. The trip's been fine so far. Um, yeah, just take that internet home with you. Just stuff it in a bag. I had a lot of anxiety.
Bark. Barkity bark. Bark, 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 bark.
But thank you for 98 months. So I was really not looking forward to flying. Probably more so than ever. Which is weird because I really haven't had that much anxiety about flying in the past. So it's sort of a new development. What kind of hotel? What do you mean, like the brand? It's not a. It's actually not under the big brands. This appears to be an independent one, so it's not like a. It's not a Hilton. Because, like, I know what you're saying. Normally, they all fall under the big ones, right? But no. This one is. There's no other branding than their own. So I assume they're on their own. I guess it doesn't have to be printed on every little piece of paper they give to me. As far as I know, it doesn't say like buy Hilton or buy Marriott or like they sometimes do, where they like absorb some pre-existing thing and then they just sort of like combine the names. I don't know that you could upgrade me here. Um, so this is paid for by the company, and it's really nice, honestly. Um, has this amazing little kitchen living room combination thing. There's a fireplace behind me. There's a balcony with a hot tub. The bathroom is huge. It's got a soaking tub. I took it for a spin earlier. The faucet on that thing is like a fire hose. It's got to be like 3 times our bath at home, and it fills up in a matter of minutes, which is almost scary. a big rain-style shower. It has a washer and dryer in here. A huge, comfy bed. It's quite nice. It's a really, really nice hotel room. The internet is it's something in the vicinity of like 50 down, 50 up. So the down is nothing to get excited about, but 50 up is nuts. So yeah, there's a sink, dishwasher, coffee maker, a full-size fridge, uh, fully stocked with mugs, glasses, cups, dishes, bowls. It's really quite nice. Yeah, fortunately, I don't really drink, so I don't not much threat of that happening. Also, shush to this. You didn't see anything. So, where we are is Utah. Never been here before. Yeah, I mean, we're not ripping fat clouds. Although, we have been some of those places where they have the detector that detects vaping as well. And there's been a couple of times where I got, which was very surprising. Just chilling out in the bed or whatever, and then the fire alarm goes off. Like, oh no! And they come right to your room. um, it can. I mean, the way a smoke detector works is, or the way some work is that they detect like changes in like ionization or something in the air, um, which I think that you can use a similar process to detect vapor. Um, yeah, yeah. I watched the Technology Connections video on it. Although I don't think that covers how vaping is detected, but some places do have that. And there are companies that actually specialize in building detection devices for it, which sucks. I say it sucks, but unfortunately there are those people out there that have like the industrial strength vapes and whatever. So, I just have this little guy, and it's better than a bunch of tar and smoke. So, I'm not going to be screwing up anybody's hotel room, but such devices will still catch me out. Um, but yeah, it's my first time ever to Utah. We came into Salt Lake City. Um, it seems nice. There's the mountains. The mountain view is really amazing. It's actually really beautiful here. Yes, where they have the jazz. I have not seen Mitt Romney, no. They don't present him to you at the airport when you arrive. He's not waiting for you there to shake your hand as you enter the state. I was very surprised. I did see yard signs for what I assume is probably Mitt Romney's son running for some shit, and I started wondering. I wonder if his son is unhinged or if he's a moderate Republican or what his deal is. I know nothing. It may not even be his son. It might just be because also, uh, after I saw that sign, I also noticed that like the Romney name is like on everything. Because like right shortly after that, I passed like Romney Dentistry, and then there was something else that had the Romney name, some other business. Well, you're right. I was thinking
I
like,
can grant you 3 wishes if you feed me a baked apple.
uh,
We are jacking off over here.
that keeps breaking the alert thing, so I can't tell who did what. Arctech, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Very much appreciated. Well, right, yeah. So I mean, like they do kind of have like that superpower for spreading a family name around, right? Oh wow.
I guess we only needed 1 ball.
That's
right?
crazy, Cricket. Anonymous, thank you for the gift subs as well. Very much appreciated.
You
Relatedly,
accusing me of cranking it out on stream?
why? Um, I guess possibly relatedly, a funny thing that I've noticed is that where I've been so far, because I've done a little bit of shopping and I've been around some places. I keep seeing like these like there'll be like a squad of dudes that are all exactly the same dude. Like outside of that, it's just all like kind of a normal, diverse spread of people. But then there will be these clusters that appear of just like these dudes walking along that all look exactly the same as each other. And it really stood out to me. But yeah, the area that we're in is really beautiful. There's mountains in every direction. We are not actually staying in Salt Lake City. We're in a nearby, I guess, kind of suburb, and had to drive through the mountains to get to it. And it's just beautiful out here. It's very similar to Arizona actually, but more greenery. So it's mountainy, it's rocky, but there's a lot more greenery around, which is nice. Arizona has a lot more of the whole kind of desert environment going on, at least in southern Arizona. But yeah, so far I would say it seems pretty cool, and the areas that I've seen are really, really, really beautiful in terms of the landscape and such. It just makes me wish I didn't know that there's a lot of other things about Utah that are completely unhinged. I don't know where I want to live. I really don't know. I think it's hard to find a good sort of cross section of a place that's palatable in like sort of local culture and politics, but also environment. It would be nice to find a spot in the United States that isn't annually subject to natural disasters, so that kind of cuts out places like Ohio, Florida, a lot of the East Coast. a lot of the Southwest. I don't know. I don't know if Michigan is totally natural disaster free. You get the tornadoes up in Michigan as well, just not as often. Ah, yes, Hawaii. Hawaii has famously no natural disasters. Definitely no tsunamis. Definitely those islands aren't volcanoes. And definitely there aren't any billionaires. I guess that's more of an unnatural disaster. Okay, well, I meant to put more weight on the natural disaster part than the annual part. Annual is more, that makes it worse, but any is also not great. Well, I would have to cut out the Earth. Can we not go down our pedant path? Can we just have fun? Is that allowed? Ay, ay, ay. No, no, it's not. It isn't fun, actually. Feels like being on Reddit. And I only get on Reddit now to fight. I only go there to fight people. I like cold turkey quit Reddit, and then I crawled back into it just to pick fights with people. Yes, like Facebook. I'm just not fit enough to fight people in the street. That's the problem. Oh, I'm gone from Twitter. I have been gone from Twitter. I will not go back to Twitter. Well, no, that's potentially worst of all. The problem with underground things is that they are likely to be filled with odorless, undetectable gases that just suffocate you without you realizing that you're even dying.
Backing off over here.
Anonymous, thank you for the gift subs. Very much appreciated.
Everybody knows inside you there are 2 bones, and that's it.
Yeah, correct that one. There are. I'm just like being attacked by my past self with these at all times. There are places that I like aesthetically. I actually think this area of Utah, Colorado, and thereabouts, Arizona, New Mexico, somewhere in there is like probably the perfect place for me in terms of aesthetics. Because I really like pine forest. I like red rock stuff. I like elevation changes and things like that. I think the Pacific Northwest is also really attractive to me, but it's also absurdly expensive. So there's that. Like, I kind of feel like I would love Oregon, but I'm not sure. There's a lot of trade-offs. But honestly, there is a real thing of like that I just feel like there's probably almost nowhere in this country I could actually be happy. One place I never considered was Maine. And Maine seems like it's might be chill. I just kind of forget that Maine exists. It's somehow like the opposite of Florida in every way, including like nobody talks about Maine. Florida comes up all the time because it's insane. Maine is so chill that people forget it's there. Well, so another problem I have is I don't want to be too far from civilization, and Montana kind of sounds like shit. But yeah, I mean, just basically what I'm saying is seeing what little I've seen of Utah so far has made it seem somewhat attractive. But I think it's extremely expensive in the attractive parts. That's another big problem with everything. Is the places that are actually beautiful and everything are also all bought up. All bought up. Like one thing that we really miss is having at least relatively close access to a major metro area, because there's so much available that when you are away from it, it just feels like there's nothing. I mean, in fact, there is nothing in many places. A lot of America is like dead space, and small towns just they don't exist the way they used to. They're all kind of shriveled up. Obviously, there are some that are, still have stuff going on, but it's like in Ohio. There's definitely a lot of towns that they just have nothing. There's just people there. A lot of places they don't even have like a general store or anything. They just have a gas station. And it's bad. It sucks. You have to go 45 minutes away to actually seriously get groceries, and as far as restaurants, nothing, you know. Yeah, the bar that serves breakfast. I did splurge today and get Nakomi a little present. And it was this. I don't know if you can see that very well. So, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be doing that's work focused that she's not going to be joining. And she keeps talking about the new Zelda game, so I decided to get her this little present. So I got her that and Echoes of Wisdom and Thousand Year Door. I mean, Nintendo isn't any more awful than a lot of other similar companies, I guess, at least in my view. The thing with me and Nintendo is I grew up with Nintendo, so I'm biased. I recognize the shitty stuff that Nintendo has done, of course. I'm not saying they haven't done shitty stuff. But I have a love for the results of their craft that I kind of can't shake, you know? There's so many games that, you know, even into the modern era of Nintendo that I have loved. I mean, I played the absolute ever-loving shit out of Mario Kart 8. Uh-oh. Did I cut out? I'm back. We're so back. Oh, okay. I think then just my audio cut out briefly there. Oh, okay. Did it go back to this mic? Seems like it did. Yeah, the Mario RPG remake was great. I don't know. It's like I can't get past that, you know? And also, I would say that it's at least nice that Nintendo hasn't been awful in some very particular ways that a lot of other companies have been. Or at least that we know of. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that. Who knows, right? Yeah, who knows with that. I don't know what's going on with that. But maybe, But then on the flip side, they have the right stance on AI. It was really... I mean, I don't even know what to say, right? It was funny because they had Miyamoto saying, like... talking about how AI involves a lot of IP theft and blah blah, and I mean that kind of makes sense coming from them because they are really protective of their IP. But then they don't really treat fans very nicely. I don't know. Oh, this is all just a chill Super Nintendo music playlist. The previous track was from the 7th Saga, and this is Illusion of Gaia, the first retro game I streamed. No one liked that I did that. I remember that very well. People were upset. Here's the playlist. Oh, I'm not. How am I not logged in? What? Oh, well. Okay. Can't send it from here. But I can send it from here. Yeah, Legend of Gaia. It's a Enix RPG, action RPG. Fairly light on the RPG, to be honest. And it's is it a sequel to or the first game of a series? There's another game called like Sword of something. I never remember that one. Well, I really feel like everybody who has any sort of who engages in any kind of creative endeavors has to be opposed to AI. You just have to. Because it doesn't exist with the ability to do what it does without having stolen huge amounts of people's work. So, yeah. Weren't most big RPGs of the SNES era remembered today, besides first-party games, Square or Enix titles? Well, certainly Square. Chrono Trigger is one of those that goes on the greatest RPGs of all time list. Oh, Soul Blazer, I forgot. Thank you, Del. I don't know that Enix had any that were like on Square's level of popularity. Oh yeah, Terra Enigma. Yep. I think Enix was well loved and made a lot of really cool Super Nintendo RPGs. I just don't think that they were widely popular or anything. Secret of Mana at Square again. Obviously Final Fantasy III. I think Lufia was pretty big. Lufia and Lufia 2, which both of those are outside of the Square/Enix realm. Did we even get a Dragon Quest on Super Nintendo in outside of Japan? I had Dragon Warrior on NES. And we got Game Boy releases. Like, there was Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 on Game Boy, and then 3, and Dragon Quest Monsters, or I think they called it Dragon Warrior Monsters here. Yeah. Dragon Quest was certainly Enix's biggest success as far as their efforts in the RPG space. But I feel like my mind's been wiped. I know that there's others. Super Nintendo was like notorious with RPGs, wasn't it? Can't think of any for some reason. I didn't even know there was a Lufia 3. Yeah, it always surprised me that the Super Nintendo didn't do as well as the original Nintendo, because it felt like such a glorious follow-up, like a perfect follow-up system to the original Nintendo. But it just it didn't surpass the NES. And then the N64 was I think that one was much more of a struggle, and that one was even lower. It's kind of amazing that Nintendo has hung on. But I think it's got everything to do with their first-party software stuff, and also their experimentation and smart choices. Like, Nintendo's made mistakes, but nobody makes mistakes like Sega. Sega taking themselves out, I think, was a massive. It's probably a big contributor to why Nintendo survived. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ogre Battle. Yep. I don't have Evo, and I want to get my hands on it, but it's one of those like fucking super rare cartridges. So it's yeah, I think it's like $400, or who knows, maybe more now. Actually, it might have been more than that. Oh yeah, Star Ocean. Yeah, I never played the original Star Ocean. It was one that I always picked up at the rental store and then just never ended up renting. I wish I had. Well, Ubisoft has been bad for a long time. If they finally take themselves out, I swear it's decades late. Sega makes me sad because Sega did. They also had that spirit of experimentation and invention, but unfortunately, it was not really born out of the right places. It did result in interesting stuff, but not really cool stuff in a lot of ways. Like the 32X it's barely interesting even because it doesn't really have a library that's even worth experiencing other than, I guess, Doom. Like most of what came out on the 32X was pretty bad. And when they put that out, it was crazy expensive. And then within a year, they had to cut it down to almost nothing. And it ate the potential that the Sega CD would have had. But then the Sega CD was something that it was way cooler than the 32X, but it was also way too early. And it sucks that they didn't put more time and money that they wasted on the 32X into the Sega CD to try to improve, like, you know, whatever they could do there to make that better. Because it was pretty it was pretty awful. Let's be real. It was like the bottom of the barrel CD experience. But then when combined with the 32X, it was actually pretty all right because they could do like the full screen FMV with the extra 32X power. They should have just combined those things together from the beginning. Should have been one project. Really? I don't know if that's bad. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think what makes less sense is that they've been doing these two separate systems. Hey, all right. Have a good night, Flynn. Don't work too hard. Wow, 220 for Evo now? I feel like that really came down. Unless I'm just misremembering. I gotta look at the charts. I mean, the retro market really cooled off a lot. Oh, there's one, right, yeah. Okay, so probably not really representative. One thing with people and any market really, but the retro market, is that they do not want to let go of a price. There's a lot of people out there. If something was worth something at any point that's higher than what it's selling for now, there's a lot of people that don't want to let go of it. But yeah, I think it was weirder that they had these two separate systems, one with the disk drive, one without. So it kind of makes sense to just make one system that can support it and then just have the module for people who want that. But the trouble with it is that it does bring the baseline price up to whatever. Well, actually, was the disc version more expensive? I guess it always was. So is the difference the same? What I think is more egregious is the Pro model itself altogether. We're talking about how the PS5 Pro has now just one base model, and they have the disc module as an add-on you can buy separately now. Okay. So it's less cost difference with the module approach then. Oh my god, dude. Don't even bring Xbox into this because their shit is a shit show. I actually stopped paying attention to it altogether. I don't even know what the current Xbox is, which one you would get if you wanted to get the right Xbox or anything, and I don't think I ever want to know. When they started naming them like cars, I checked out. And the other thing with Xbox is that they just don't have a library. There's just really no, if you have a gaming PC, there's no reason to own an Xbox at all. Which is the thing that, like, I don't know. Well, yeah, I've been kind of disappointed with the PS5's lack of exclusives. I know I'm like on the other side of the fence from basically everyone on that. But to my view, it's like I don't see the point of these devices if they don't have their own content. Yeah, give me a reason to own this thing. That's basically... No, I know. I'm not the general audience. I'm fully aware of that fact. I don't know, it's difficult because I think that is also part of why the old libraries were so kind of vibrant and wild, like back in the PS1 days and earlier. Because the systems really had a lot of variety. But obviously the problem is that you have to be able to experience all that, you have to be able to afford all the consoles, which is not realistic. And now consoles are more expensive than ever too, so that's also even less realistic. So I get it. But it is all kind of melding into one thing to where there isn't really as much purpose to any of them anymore as there was. So, yeah, I don't know. I differ on that front, obviously.
Yeah.
Thank you for the gift sub to Nakomi. Yeah, I just messaged you back. I have to go help Nakomi. I'll be right back. Hello. Did my headset disconnect? What happened to the music? Oh, this song had to be muted, I guess. I have been external optical drives only for a while. Look, the fact of the matter is, in my view, there are things that we have lost. But there are also things we have gained, obviously. You know, like Steam is just sort of an open ocean of game content. And it's pretty great. It's just completely open-ended. It would be greater if it was, DRM free, but kind of is what it is on that front. Some people do. They'll put releases on GOG that are DRM free as well, which is nice. And yeah, I think that we are losing a lot with losing physical media, and I think that that's been cropping up now and again. There is sort of a problem where the question is like, what will be preserved? Is it only going to be the things that people care about? And when I say people caring about it, I mean like large scale. Because there's stuff that people care about, but it's like a smaller number of people, and therefore less care. You know, a lot of games, there's this massive preservation problem because the company just abandons it when it's no longer profitable, which might be after, 5 years. It might be after 1 year. They might do the Blizzard thing where they like delete the pre-existing version of a game and replace it with the new version or something. And those are problems that I don't think that we have really answers for. I think we've just sort of lost some of those fights, and they're not really winnable, depending on whether anybody has access or not. In some cases, we don't have access to the stuff that gets shut off. At least in the case of like what Blizzard did, Diablo and Diablo 2 or whatever. I think it was Diablo 2 that got squashed, right, by the remake they did. You can at least get physical copies because that originally was a physical copy game. So that would basically be the thing to do, is to get your hands on an original copy of that. Is it? Because last I looked, it was not. If you go to the Diablo 2 page on the store, there's a page for it, but you cannot actually, like, I own it, I cannot install it. I don't know if you can buy it because I already owned it. But I would recommend not buying it if you can buy it, because it doesn't seem like you can actually install the damn thing. I don't know if anybody else can confirm. But less popular opinion, I think that we have lost something though as well by moving away from an exclusives heavy market. We've gained things obviously, and I understand that this is an unpopular view, but I think that created limitations that that led to a lot of vibrance and variety and so forth. So I don't know. It just feels like we don't see that so much anymore. But on the other hand, you could look at Steam and say that you see it there, because it is, as I said, just a totally open-ended ocean of games, right? Anything you can imagine, anything people can make, it's going up there. So I think what I'm probably really thinking of is the fact that I have a love for the devices as well, sort of the companionship of the two, right? Like, I have a love for the Super Nintendo, and I don't really have a similar place to put that sort of love, I guess. Switch, sort of. I guess Nintendo is still kind of creating that similar sort of ecosystem where they have a very unique-ish console, and it has its exclusive content. Yeah, have a good one, Twee. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, it is still at least a bit technologically interesting, but it is less unique, you know, compared to what they had done in the past. I think is fair to say. If we're being real here, like, even the original consoles were using, in some cases, off-the-shelf chips, right, for certain things. So it's not like they were creating these consoles out of whole cloth, you know. For instance, I believe, like in the case of the Super Nintendo, isn't it? I think it's a Sony sound chip that handles the sampling, that sort of stuff. So in a lot of ways, it's not too terribly different from today, you know. Nintendo designed all the hardware for the Switch, but the chips and stuff and the architectures used are more standardized or whatever. There's more has moved on to fewer chips as well, as another thing, you know. The original consoles, like the NES, had its the PPU chip that was basically dedicated to handling just picture processing. And then it had its core CPU that did all the thinking, and all that sort of stuff is like piled into fewer chips these days than it used to be. Yeah. Is anybody else who owns the originals on BattleNet? Like, can you confirm whether you can even install them? Because I recently tried to do this. I went in there and I was like, I know I own these. I didn't really follow along when that was news, so I just had gone down a rabbit hole of listening to dev talks about the development of Diablo, and then I was like, man, for some reason I really want to play Diablo. And then I went to install, and they're just not there. It's like they're not in my library. But like I said, if I go to the store pages for those games, it says I own them. So I don't know if it's user error or whatever, but they just didn't show up in BattleNet for me if I go to like my game library to install games. They took them away from me, I guess. At any rate, hopefully you can see what I'm saying with that stuff. I don't want to argue for things to be worse for consumers. And you know that I am pretty inherently anti-corporation in general. But I just miss the sort of really interesting video game ecosystems we used to have. But that's life. Shit changes. It's cool that there's enough people who still love this stuff that at least there are new games that get made for old systems, new cartridges being made and sold. I think that stuff is good. No, I am missing exclusives as well. It's both, for sure. I probably didn't really explain it very well, but like it ties into how I feel about the current consoles, where it's just sort of like, I've said this for years, but apart from like Nintendo, there's not a whole lot of differentiating qualities between Xbox and PlayStation, really. Side services they provide, I guess. Aesthetic preferences, I guess. You know, do you like green or do you like blue? But they're just sort of PCs, so it's becoming less compelling to me over time, and it does feel like that kind of part of me is dying because that stuff just doesn't really compel me anymore. Well, yeah. So, yeah, Xbox doesn't have a VR thing at all, right? But I think that the trouble with that is I think everybody started to view VR as a sort of dead end. It really seems like all the heat's gone out of it. Yeah, hardware is a solved problem. Certainly, hardware in general was it was an influence of some level on there being exclusives. Like the whole thing with the PS1 was that the CD format was this revolution where you could store so much more game data compared to a cartridge. But also the hardware was a lot more powerful too, combined with that. Yeah, being able to swap discs out and stuff. Yep. There's a lot of reasons why developers chose one system over another. It wasn't always strictly hardware. I think a lot of it actually had to do with just market share. But then that's sort of like, did they have that market share because they had the hardware? Probably. It all feeds into itself that in a way that makes it hard to really split it up and say it's definitely this thing, it's definitely that thing. I guess what I feel like my view is that for consoles to be interesting and to sort of remain as the thing that people care about, and for them to not die, they kind of need exclusives to do that. They kind of need exclusives to remain relevant. Because otherwise, they are just going to kind of be absorbed into the gray goo. And I think that, I mean, I would hold up Nintendo as an example of one that's so differentiated that I don't see them really suffering from those same struggles. But Nintendo has different struggles, obviously. Like having the most underpowered console. But I don't know how much that hurt them, really. The Switch was a pretty massive sales success. Yeah, they did. And they're kind of insulated from stuff like, even like the Steam Deck doesn't really kill the Switch because they have all their first party content, right? Like you just can't get, I mean, you can emulate. I guess, you know, that's kind of cheating, but you can do that. I agree that the performance in Link's Awakening was disappointing on the Switch. It was really disappointing that it had the hitching and it couldn't maintain a good frame rate, which really felt substandard for a Nintendo game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna convince you, Ifa, and I think you're not gonna convince me, especially because I'm of two minds on it. I both agree with your position, but that position also makes me sad. I don't know what to tell you. Does that make sense? It makes me sad, man. It's just how I feel. Oh, nice, Flynn. That's good. Well, I told you not to work too hard. Thank you for listening to me. But yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with what you're saying at all, if 100%. Like, it's just logically that's how things should go. And obviously, I would not expect, you know, or want the situation to be that everybody has to get every $600 system just to be able to experience this game and that game and whatever game. Yeah, I am familiar with not so much the handheld PCs, but the handheld emulators. I'm meh on those. It seems like nothing really rises to the Steam Deck in the PC handheld space, but I could be wrong on that because I'm not really following that so much. Although I will say I've been jealous of Nakomi and her Steam Deck on this trip. And then the handheld emulators, I don't know. I don't really love the emulated experience in the general case. And I much prefer, if I'm gonna play an emulated system, I prefer the FPGA based ones where they recreate the functions of the original chips. That is emulation that I can enjoy. I really like my Analog Pocket. I think it's quite good. And I am Mr. Curious. I'm not MR period curious. I am MISTER curious. I guess that's kind of the same. It's a terrible name. You know what I'm saying? I am Mr. the FPGA device curious. But that's also a massive investment. It's another thing with these is that they're all expensive too, right? If you want to have like a real good Mister setup, you're going to be looking at somewhere between like $400 to $600. The Xbox Series? Is that including both of them? Wow. Wow, that's really... How many, how did PS5 do? I feel like PS5 did pretty well, didn't it? Wow. So like twice as many. Yeah, that is low. Switch did over 100 million, right? I don't remember what the numbers were. Did they pass 150 million? And I haven't passed it yet, but 143 is insane. Jesus Lord. Yeah, for real. I hate Xbox naming. I don't know what they're doing. Series S and Series X sounds like cars to me. Anybody else? I was so turned off by the naming conventions. I also didn't like the design of the S looked fine, but the X was like, what is this, man? This is an ugly, ugly thing. I think GB and GBC are typically lumped together, aren't they? Just under Game Boy. Oh God, yeah. The Xbox One name was really yuck. I don't know. There's just something really bland about it that I don't like. I think that's another thing that Nintendo does pretty well. And I think the only time that they've dropped the ball was when they did Wii U. No, I really feel like Nintendo, on the whole, has done a good job. There's a couple others that suck. So like, you got NES, Super. You cannot argue me out of Super being fantastic. I wish they would bring back the Super moniker on something, anything. Just bring it back for me one time. They had Super Nintendo. They had Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 is kind of weak, but ultimately it was pretty good. GameCube I thought was good. Wii was weird at first, but again, really different from everything else and easily identifiable. Wii U was a stinker. And then Switch. And then in the handheld space, they had Game Boy and all of its derivatives, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Light, Game Boy Pocket, and then Game Boy Advance. The trouble with Game Boy Advance is people had this weird tendency to put a D on the end. Game Boy Advanced. And then the DS, Nintendo DS, DS Lite, DSi, those were not great name steps in naming. And then 3DS, and then one of their worst ones was New 3DS. What are you doing? I mean, I know that it was supposed to be like a refresh in place, but what a stupid name. Especially in the era of, you know, trying to find shit in search engines. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's going to bring up 3DSs that are new and new 3DS. Fucking, come on. No. If they called it the Super Switch, I would float to the store. Over the ground. I would hover to the store and buy it instantly just because it was called the Super Switch. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of those names are iconic. If you include all the derivative names, it starts to look pretty bad. I will concede that. And then I think the two really big stinkers are when they tried to do the new 3DS thing, and then Wii U was a dumb move. They basically, it's like they brushed their new console under the rug. Why didn't they just give it a different name? It was a different console. It was not a Wii. It was two Wiis duct taped together, and a Wii was two GameCubes duct taped together. We all know this. So really, a Wii U is 4 GameCubes. It's cubed. They should have... oh well. They could have called it like the Super Game Cubed or something. Hypercubed, yeah. Oh well. PlayStation has just stayed very serious, very regimented. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. And I respect that. I think it makes sense for PlayStation. I think it fits the brand. And then, yeah, Portable and Vita. I thought PSP was great. I thought Vita was not great. I'll never forget first holding a PSP in my hands. That was near to the experience of first holding the iPhone, the original iPhone in my hands, in terms of feeling like I was holding something that was like plucked from the future. You know? It was mind-boggling having a screen like that in your hand. And seeing games, like being able to play games that looked nearly PS2 level on the go. It was stupid how far ahead it felt. And I loved everything about the original PSP and it being this really heavily mechanical and almost janky feeling device. Yeah, it had this disk drive. It was all metal and it was really clanky when you would open it up, and when you would close it, it was ka-chonk. You know, like, it's just cool, man. We don't make cool things anymore. Or I guess everything became too cool. Now everything's all sleek and everything's just a slab. Way more, it's like more powerful than 1,000 PSPs. But because of that, in many ways, more boring. I want some stupid mechanical shit that I have to clank open and slap shut. Come on, give me that, please. I need some whirring and some beeping. I miss when computers used to have an ambient sort of trash sound that they made at all times because hard drives were noisy and shitty. Whenever you'd load an application, you'd hear the you could hear it trying to think. Yeah, that whine. You could tell if the computer or if the TV was on, like it was a sixth sense. When I was a kid, I didn't know why I could know that, but I could tell when the TV was on, even if it was completely muted from like the next room over. I didn't know why. I didn't know that was because I could detect the whine. I just never thought about it. I have now aged out of that superpower. Not that it matters much anymore. But I do not hear the whine anymore. It never bothered me, but I was always, from the moment that I discovered that I could connect things to the television and make it do things, I was glued to it. Never bothered me. It's like, I just love everything about this. This is great. Please blast radiation into my face directly and at really close up. Yeah. Well, we had quite a large TV when I was a kid. And I used to like to go up to it and bring my hand slowly closer and closer, and then I could feel basically static electricity. And then when you got really close to it, you could hear it. The fuzz, yeah. Yeah. I'm not a Luddite. I concede that it would be worse if all of our modern devices were less good. I just lament how boring it all is. Yeah, it is. You have to admit, in some ways, it is more boring because of this. It's like it's less tactile, but more convenient. I don't know. It's all trade-offs. It's all trade-offs. And almost all the trade-offs are in favor of all the things that are better. Is it? I never really got into steampunk, but probably, yeah. Sounds like it would kind of be related. No, I really dipped out of Winter Gatan when it kind of seemed like it was just like not a thing that was ever going to end. Like when he threw it all out for like the third time, I was like, you know what, man? I'm out. This, and also when he started like really filleting Elon, I was like, yeah, nah. Peace. I'm out, bud. Enjoy. Good luck to you. I am done. It was just really hard to take it seriously, but it was like, I don't even remember what he said anymore.
kept making comments about Elon's approach to things, and I'm like, nah. Nah. Yeah, hard pass. I mean, it's really, I think, easy to kind of see that like he's kind of overthought the whole thing. Like I actually don't really take issue with the whole reinventing the wheel thing because he seemed to actually get genuine enjoyment out of it. Machining the parts himself and all that stuff is really interesting and cool. But I think there was just a drift over time to it just being for the sake of doing that, and less so for the sake of actually achieving the goal. Like, it kind of reminds me of that startup that I was in, which is still going, still going, still not a thing, still not a real product. Somehow still clunking along. Very similar in that it's like, it was not a scam exactly. It's just somebody who, they are an expert in the source material, and the thing that was set out to be created was sort of ostensibly done. Like, the MVP was created, but it never ends. And it starts to become a sort of project of insanity. It's like you care more about building the project than completing the project. And you keep coming up with reasons to continue building the project forever. I don't know. I hate that I was ever a part of that thing. Oh no, it's on another level from scope creep. It's related, but scope creep even has a sort of endpoint to it. Like, scope creep usually doesn't result in 30 years of persisting in having a company that doesn't sell anything. Scope creep usually ends with failures, is I think the more common case. But this is like scope creep plus other things. It's like psychosis. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as long as there's people willing to keep such a thing going, then I guess. Kind of like Star Citizen, right? Like, they're still going, so, and people, there's enough people who care about it enough and have contributed enough to keep it going. I don't know. They also have something that like people can actually play. I don't really know where that falls on the spectrum of complete. Yeah, I assumed it. Yeah, it's sort of down the family tree from Elite. I think Elite Dangerous is kind of more in parallel with it, right? I think the Elite Dangerous was probably started after it and released before it, so there's that. Yeah, there was a period of time there where I was actually kind of addicted to the Wintergotten updates. When there was like, I've identified with the help of, all these people, this particular problem with this particular piece that was causing such and such thing to happen, and it felt like it was progressing towards something, That was exciting and interesting and enjoyable to watch, but yeah, I don't think I'll be going back to that. And wasn't Marble Machine X like the third one already at that point? But it was supposed to be like the ultimate one. Yeah, I mean, Star Citizen is really a demonstration of the power of, like, name power, really, and the genre, because it's not a lot of other things like that, right? There are definitely little genre-specific nostalgia projects that have popped up and got a significant amount, and they made their thing or whatever, and then that was kind of that. But nothing with the sort of financial throughput of Star Citizen that's like, nothing really compares to that. I don't really even remember all the things. Aren't there a lot of, because like it's such a long span of time. There's a lot of people who own ships that are like unique to them, right? And they're like tens of thousands of dollars that they paid for those. I'm probably even more than I'm thinking. I seem to recall there being some really absurdly high levels of investment in certain things that were just like mind blowing. No, you're thinking of Eve Online. Eve Online is the one that had the really massive dollar amounts associated with it. But in terms of gameplay. Oh no, Tenosis. From my understanding, they had gotten a lot of portions of the game into pretty playable states. That sounds like about around the same time I dipped, Flynn. But, and I don't remember the details here, but it wasn't one of the dudes, or maybe the main dude behind Star Citizen, one of the creators behind Wing Commander. Oh my god. $48,000. There is a whole deep dive. I think it was God, who did it? Was it Frederick or whatever? Down the Rabbit Hole? Is that his most recent video, which was like a full... It's funny because I was just wondering what happened to him the other day, and now you guys are reminding me. I think that was his most recent video. Was like wasn't it like a 6-hour long video about the entire history of EVE Online? And I'll tell you what, I watched it all. I consumed the entire thing. I know more about EVE Online than I ever wanted to. I know that something awful tried to take over large portions of the universe. It is a good video, yes. It's surprisingly interesting. It doesn't sound like it would be interesting. It is devastatingly interesting. It's a good video to put on in the background and just sort of listen to the details, because there's a lot of unhinged shit. And it's also really interesting in terms of you learn sort of the backstory, the history of the development and the developers, and that part's all really cool and interesting. And then slowly you learn about how the game itself continually went off the rails and just kind of never came back to the rails ever again. Yeah, I'm a real sucker for way too long video essays. Thank you, H-Bomb. Thank you, Jenny Nicholson. I watched her whole entire saga regarding the Disney Star Wars Starship, Star Cruise, whatever thing. I watched that whole thing. And you know what's funny? I don't 2x those. I 2x political content and news, but I watch those normal, especially in the case of like H-Bomb, because like one thing that 2x does not do well. Oh yeah, the split it up over multiple days is also good. One thing that 2x doesn't do well is it really ruins comedic timing, which I think, at least in H-Bomb's case, it's worth not 2xing over his stuff. It kind of destroys that, yeah. But yeah, I can see it for a lot of them. I mean, who has time, right? Apparently all of us. It's not a contest food. Doesn't even make sense. How can you possibly do that and understand what you're consuming? Like, I'm used to listening at 2x. I can listen. I can make out what people are saying. Well, at any rate, cool. At least we have the utility for such things. Although I guess you probably have to have an extension, right? I don't have an extension for going higher than 2x. I do have one for going higher than 100% volume, though. Because there's a lot of videos that are just... certain videos... Actually, a lot of it is with live streams. People will have live streams where their mic is just, like, almost inaudible. Okay. I would say I most often use 2x for when I want to catch up to a live stream on YouTube. Which is only possible because YouTube has the better player for live streams. It's really annoying. It's really, really annoying. They don't have the better overall platform, but they do have the better player. Why, Twitch? Why still can we not scrub streams? Why can't we just go back a couple of minutes? If you missed something, or you want to see something again, why can't you just go back? Why do you have to make a clip? Let us scrub. Or at least let us do that without having to go like back to the streamer's channel, go to their recent videos, find the current VOD that's actively being recorded, and then scrub. I mean, at least you can do that, but it's like, why? Just come on, man. Lab Tub. Hey Dave, how you doing, man? Nice, nice. I actually need to probably wind down here. I am on the road, yeah. I'm in Utah. Business trip. A compulsory, everybody get together, entire company retreat type thing. Hunting Mormons, yeah. I will say that I've been casting a curious eye in all directions while I've been in Salt Lake City. And it's funny because I had recently another thing where I had watched, I don't know what channel it was even on. I watched a video about the sort of history of Salt Lake City. Yeah, fucking, oh, I think it was a Wendover Productions video. Might have been. It's not on the weekend. It's on Monday and Tuesday. We came here early because it was convenient for us to do it this way. So that's on me. And they covered the hotel anyway, even though we're here early, which is nice. But the compulsory days are actually Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, the soda shops are weird, right? What is it called? Swig? I saw one today. I was just thinking about it. For those of you who don't know, they have these. This is because of what is the reason? It was because of Mormons don't drink or whatever. So these would you call them restaurants? They're not really restaurants, but these places exist where they just don't exist anywhere else. It's a really weird, unique thing where you just go there and you just get like, you can kind of assemble your own soda, essentially. I think it's like a drive-through type experience. I have to hit one and I have to see what it's like. I really considered stopping at the one I saw today, but I was out picking up stuff for me and Nakomi. But if Nakomi and I are out and about tomorrow, I'm going to see if I can make a point of us popping into a swig and see what that's like. But I guess it's supposed to be like their alternative to drinking. They just went really hard. Well, right. Yeah, I mean, like, is this just that? I don't know. I haven't been to one yet, but I need to see what it's like. They went really hard on like custom soda. I don't know, man. It's weird as hell. There's a lot of stuff I can't just not see now that I'm here. Like how all the roads in Salt Lake City, well, probably not every single road, but the major roads are named like based off the distance from the temple in the center, which I guess is not uncommon, but it still feels weird and kind of culty. Like they're like north 1000, north 1100, north, you know, this is like, it all grows out in distance from the from where the temple is. And I mentioned this earlier, Dave, but a strange phenomenon I've been noticing since I've been here, and I really say this because it jumped out at me, and I haven't been out that much yet, so this is how much it jumped out at me. But when I go to like a store or whatever, for the most part, it just seems like kind of normal city bustle levels of diversity of people. But there will also be sprinkled in these like clusters of dudes who all look exactly the same. I've only been out a couple of times and I've seen this like 3 or 4 times now already. I saw a car full of them where there was like too many of them to even fit in the car. It was like a van. And then in a store, they were just like walking as like a one big group. They all look exactly like the same dude. They're all just clones of each other. There didn't seem to be a consistent. It wasn't like a dress code about it or anything like that. And also, when I say exactly the same, I mean like exactly. Like they're all brothers or something, not just attempting to look the same. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm saying it was 8 of the same guy. Does that make sense? There wasn't a consistency in terms of like that they were all. It wasn't like they were all wearing a uniform or following a dress code or even a particular haircut. Each group that I saw that was like this was different. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. Also, Dave, it may interest you to know that I have seen quite a number of Romneys since I've been here. I have been just awash in Romneys. Which may be related to the other thing I was talking about. Zero mitts. I saw a political sign for a Romney, but not mitt. I saw Romney dentistry, but not mitt. The other thing here is that they're very, the sort of, one of the state things is that they have a lot of, something to do with bees. I don't know if it's just that they have they do a lot of beekeeping or what the bee-centric shit is with Utah. I know that they changed their flag to a really cool looking flag, which has some representation on it relative to bees as well. Their sort of state route signs use a beehive shape, and there's just a lot of bee stuff. There was a sort of grocery store that I had passed that was called the Family Hive, which I have to say was really off-putting. Yeah, pretty weird. The Lemiskit. I'm not familiar with this at all. Yeah, I don't know it. Of course, the only thing that comes to mind for me now when I think of Lemmy is your da wanks on all fours. It's all I ever need to brighten up any day. And I highly recommend it. All right, y'all. I do have to wrap things up. They have an insanely early schedule on Monday and Tuesday. I hate it, but I have to shift my schedule earlier because of it, and earlier mountain time. So.
We've been for a million years.
Oh yeah. We thought it was like 8 o'clock when it was 3 in the afternoon here. So we're all fucked up. It's gonna be a rough couple of days. But thanks for hanging out on my tech support stream. Thanks for calling in. Let me know if you have any further issues. And goodbye.